Marcus Aurelius was a Roman emperor of the 2nd century, also known as the last of the 5 good emperors after Nerva, Trajan, Hadrian, and Antoninus Pius. During his 19 years of leadership, Aurelius gained a reputation as a philosopher king. Founding his beliefs on the teachings of Stoicism, the Roman emperor was also diligent in finding his own way of self-improvement. Stoicism is an ancient Hellenistic philosophy that teaches one to accept and surrender to what life brings, without seeking pleasure or having fear of pain, and to treat others in a fair and respectful manner. Marcus Aurelius wrote personal notes and ideas on Stoic philosophy and spirituality as a source of guidance for himself. These notes, originally written in medieval Greek, formed a collection titled Meditations. This 12-volume work has been revered by many other philosophers over the centuries and is praised as a real testament to a government of duty and service. Today we'll read a segment from Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, in which a very practical wisdom is simply put for everyone to understand and benefit from. Meditations, Book 4. Our inward power, when it obeys nature, reacts to events by accommodating itself to what it faces, to what is possible. It needs no specific material. It pursues its own aims as circumstances allow. It turns obstacles into fuel. As a fire overwhelms what would have quenched a lamp, what's thrown on top of the conflagration is absorbed, consumed by it, and makes it burn still higher. No random actions, none not based on underlying principles. People try to get away from it all. To the country, to the beach, to the mountains. You always wish that you could too, which is idiotic. You can't get away from it anytime you like. By going within, nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul, especially if you have other things to rely on. An instant's recollection, and there it is, complete tranquility. And by tranquility, I mean a kind of harmony. So keep getting away from it all, like that. Renew yourself, but keep it brief and basic. A quick visit should be enough to send you back ready to face what awaits you. What's there to complain about? People's misbehavior? But take into consideration that rational beings exist for one another, that doing what's right sometimes requires patience, that no one does the wrong thing deliberately, and the number of people who have feuded and envied and hated and fought and died and been buried. And keep your mouth shut. Or are you complaining about the things the world assigns you? But consider the 2 options, providence or atoms, and all the arguments for seeing the world as a city. Or is it your body? Keep in mind that when the mind detaches itself and realizes its own nature, it no longer has anything to do with ordinary life, the rough and the smooth, either one. And remember all you've been taught and accepted about pain and pleasure. Or is it your reputation that's bothering you? But look at how soon we're all forgotten. The abyss of endless time that swallows it all. The emptiness of all those applauding hands. The people who praise us, how capricious they are, how arbitrary. And the tiny region in which it all takes place. The whole earth, a point in space, and most of it uninhabited. How many people there will be to admire you, and who they are. So keep this refuge in mind, the back roads of yourself. Above all, no strain and no stress. Be straightforward. Look at things like a man, like a human being, like a citizen, like a mortal. And among the things you turn to, these two, that things have no hold on the soul. They stand there unmoving outside it. Disturbance comes only from within, from our own perceptions, that everything you see will soon alter and cease to exist. Think of how many changes you've already seen. The world is nothing but change. Our life is only perception. If thought is something we share, then so is reason, what makes us reasoning beings. If so, then the reason that tells us what to do and what not to do is also shared. And if so, we share a common law, and thus are fellow citizens. And fellow citizens of something, and in that case, our state must be the world. What other entity could all of humanity belong to? And from it, from this state that we share, come thought and reason and law. Where else could they come from? The earth that composes me derives from earth, the water from some other element, the air from its own source, the heat and fire from theirs, since nothing comes from nothing or returns to it. So thought must derive from somewhere else as well. Death, something like birth, a natural mystery, elements that split and recombine, not an embarrassing thing, not an offense to reason or our nature. That sort of person is bound to do that. You might as well resent a fig tree for secreting juice. Anyway, before very long, you'll both be dead and soon forgotten. Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been. It can ruin your life only if it ruins your character. Otherwise, it cannot harm you, inside or out. It was for the best, so nature had no choice but to do it. That every event is the right one. Look closely and you'll see. Not just the right one overall, but right. As if someone had weighed it out with scales. Keep looking closely like that and embody it in your actions. Goodness, what defines a good person? Keep to it in everything you do. Not what your enemy sees and hopes that you will, but what's really there. Two kinds of readiness are constantly needed. One, to do only what the Logos, the rational divine power pervading the universe of authority and law directs, with the good of human beings in mind. To reconsider your position when someone can set you straight or convert you to his. But your conversion should always rest on the conviction that it's right or benefits others, nothing else. Not because it's more appealing or more popular. You have a mind? Yes. Well, why not use it? Isn't that all you want? For it to do its job? You have functioned as a part of something. You will vanish into what produced you, or be restored rather, to the Logos from which all things spring, by being changed. Many lumps of incense on the same altar. One crumbles now, one later, but it makes no difference. Now they see you as a beast, a monkey, but in a week they'll think you're a god. If you rediscover your beliefs and honor the Logos, not to live as if you had endless years ahead of you. Death overshadows you. While you are alive and able, be good. The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say, or think, or do. Only what you do. Is this fair? Is this the right thing to do? Not to be distracted by their darkness. To run straight for the finish line, unswerving. People who are excited by posthumous fame forget that the people who remember them will soon die too. and those after them in turn, until their memory, passed from one to another like a candle flame, gutters and goes out. But suppose that those who remembered you were immortal, and your memory undying. What good would it do you? And I don't just mean when you're dead, but in your own lifetime. What use is praise, except to make your lifestyle a little more comfortable? You're out of step, neglecting the gifts of nature to hand on someone's words in the future. Respected viewers, we thank you for being with us on today's Words of Wisdom.